beginner's class, we're going to be focusing on booking appointments, processing sales, setting up commissions, and a few of the reports as well. In other words, this class assumes that you already have your data entry done. You've got your staff in with their schedules. You've assigned them to groups of services. You've got your groups and services in with their prices and times. And you know how to enter clients, and you already have your inventory in the system. So as long as we've got that, then what we're about to learn, we should be able to do without any difficulty. Also, I want you to be aware that I am recording this class, and the recording will include your questions and my answers, etc., and of course just the class as I go through it. When the recording is complete, when the class is complete, one of two things is going to happen. I'm either going to delete the recording, or you can ask for it, and I will email you a link to that recording so that you have the ability to watch the class again at your convenience whenever you'd like, with your questions, my answers, etc. All right? So let me go ahead and close that, and let's get started. Okay, so again, as the beginner's class, we're going to be starting in the appointment book, and then we're going to move to sales, and then we're going to be talking about commissions. So the first thing we're going to talk about in the appointment book is the day view and the week view screens and how they differ from each other. The first is the day view screen. If I go to the window here that says book and I left click on it one time, it takes me to what we call the day view screen. The day view screen shows all of your staff that are going to be working for a particular day. Now you can have it set like I have it set right now to show a total of 10 columns, but you can have it set for as many columns or as few columns as you'd like, up to 31. So your screen might look something like this if you had it set for 15 columns. Could even look something like this if you had it set for 20 columns. Again, however many you want it to default to, you can set for that. So let's go back here. And again, this is our day view screen. So what's the week view screen? Again, starting from scratch, if we went to that same button, but this time instead of left clicking on it, we right click on it. By right clicking on it, instead of showing us all of our staff that are working for a particular day, it shows us the current date that we're on plus an additional 2 weeks. So I can now choose a specific staff member like Debbie, and it will show me her schedule for 1 day plus 2 weeks. And you can book appointments on this week view screen just as easily as you can on the day view screen. We'll be showing you that in just a moment. Again, I could choose somebody else. I could move over to someone like Leslie here. And again, it shows me her schedule now. Move over to Christian, and I'm looking at his schedule for the next 2 weeks. Now, I say the next 2 weeks, but again, with my plus and minus signs, I can add or remove days. So with my plus sign, I can add days. Click, 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 click. I can see up to 31 days on a single screen. Of course, 31 is not an arbitrary number. It allows you to see a full month. And of course, the largest months we have are 31 days. So let's go ahead and go back here. So our day view and our week view screens, two very different things, but they're both able to have appointments booked to them, rescheduled, etc. So let's start in our day view again. First thing we're going to do is book an appointment. The steps to book an appointment are this: client, group, service, book. So first thing we're going to do is pull up a customer. Now, we can either pull up a customer that is already in our database, or we can add a customer brand new to our database. So I could do something like this, for instance. I'm going to come to this button that says client. If I left click on that button, I can pull up a customer that's already in my database. And if I'm using a touch screen, I can use these buttons. Or if I'm using a keyboard, I can type in. So if I'm using these buttons, let's say I wanted to pull up Miss Babcock, Michelle Babcock. I can type B-A-B, select, and everybody whose last name starts with that will appear. And the reason for that is because it defaults for last name. If I want, I can hit here, and it'll now look up by first name instead, or by telephone number, or even by membership numbers. So again, if I was using my touch screen, BAB, select, or the more I put in, the shorter the list is going to be. BABC, select, and now it's just Miss Babcock. If I was using the keyboard, I could do something like this: J-O-H-N, enter, and everybody whose last name starts with J-O-H-N will appear. Rather lengthy. Let's see if we can pull up K. Johnson here. Johnson, K, enter, and everybody whose last name, first name last name is Johnson and first name starts with a K will appear. There's K Johnson. So again, the more letters you put in, the shorter your list is going to be. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to select K Johnson. Her name is now here. We've selected her. We can now move on to our other steps. But what if the person is not in the database? I'm going to, instead of left-clicking, which brings up my search window, I'm going to right-click on that same button. And that now allows me to add somebody brand new. So I'm going to put in Maria DeNicola, and I can take additional information, mobile number, phone number, work number, email, even how she heard about us. Or and that's all, I could just take the first and last name. That's all that's required. I could hit add now and start booking. Or I could hit more and take a lot more information, her address, her occupation. Perhaps if you're processing credit cards through a preferred provider, I could even store her card on file. Who she prefers to see when she comes there. Does she want to get her receipt emailed or not? Does she want to receive email promotions or text promos from us? Does she want to be able to get her confirmations and reminders of appointments via email or text, et cetera, et cetera? So I'm just going to go ahead, though, and just go with first and last name, nothing else. There she is. I can now choose from my list of groups. Of course, your groups are user-defined, so everyone's groups are going to be different. They're going to be named whatever you want them to be named. So I'm going to go with something like massage here. Now that I've chosen massage, you'll notice my whole screen just changed. Now I'm left with just my massage therapists, as well as the rooms that massages can be performed in, and any equipment that may be assigned to certain massages. Watch what happens when I choose a different group, like waxing. Again, everything changes. These are my waxers and the rooms that waxing can be done in. Let's go back to massage. So here I am. I've chosen my client. I've chosen my group. Then I choose a service, like, for instance, a head 90, and I'm going to book that with Maureen at 11 o'clock. So in Maureen's column, I find 11 o'clock, and there it is. This is where I want to be. I left-click to block out the time, and then I right-click to choose what type of customer this is. For instance, if it's a no type, they just said, hey, can I come in at 11 o'clock today? And you said, sure, and you booked them with Maureen. That would be a no type. If somebody said, is Maureen available at 11 o'clock today? Well, they asked for Maureen. That would be a request. 90% of the bookings that you're going to do are going to be one of these two types, no type or request. I'm going to go ahead and select request. Now it asks me, what room is this being booked in? And I'm going to choose my herbal room and accept. So now I have Maria booked with Maureen in the herbal room. So an appointment has been booked successfully. So let's go through this process again, do it a little bit faster this time. I'm going to choose a customer, Donna Earl. I'm going to stick with my my massage group, and this time I'm going to go with a Hot Stone 60. I'm going to book that with Anna at 1 o'clock. What room? The herbal room. What equipment? The black stones. This time I booked a Hot Stone 60 with Donna Earl, with Anna, in the herbal room with the black stones. So this is what we call 3-tiered booking. This one would be called 2-tiered booking. Now I don't know, because you're a day spa, if you have any single-tiered bookings. You may have everything require a room, but if you did have single-tiered booking, I've got mine set up in hair, so let me just show you what that might look like. We can choose a customer, whoever they may be, and here, choose a service, like a blow dry and curl, and book that with Kathy at 11 o'clock. It did not ask for a room. It did not ask for equipment. That's single-tiered booking. So that's the process to book an appointment. Choose your client or add someone new. Choose your group of services. Choose a service within that group. Left-click to block out the time. Then once the time has been blocked out, right-click to choose what type of customer they are, and the appointment is booked. So those are the steps to book a standard appointment. Now, if I wanted to reschedule an appointment, so Ann Sabella here called in and said, oh my gosh, I can't come in at 11. Is Kathy still available at 1 o'clock? Well, Kathy is available at 1 o'clock, so I can move this appointment. And it's really very simple. I just check this box here that says reschedule, and now I can left click and hold down and move it to 1 o'clock and release. Left click, move it to 12, move it to 12:30, move it to 11, move it to 1. Really easy. If Ann said, I can't come in today, what other times does Kathy have available this week? I could right-click on Kathy's name and go to Week View. So now it's taken me to her Week View without me having to right-click on this button up here. I was able to do it right from the day view screen by right-clicking on that staff member. And by doing that, Kathy is already here, so it is now Kathy's next 2 weeks that are on my screen. I can choose my reschedule, and I can move her to Saturday the 20th at the same time, or maybe move her to 11 o'clock on Tuesday the 23rd, or bring her down here to 2 o'clock on May 24th, and then bring her back to 12 o'clock. Looks like somebody just sent me a quick message. Let me see what that is. Can you go over one tier once again? Okay, sure, absolutely. So let's go back to our day view screen, and let's book a single tiered booking again. So first things first, I'm going to choose a customer. Whoops, actually got to choose. There we go. We'll go with Donna Fabiani here, and I'll choose my group. I'm going to go with hair because that's where my single tiers are. I'm going to choose a service like a blow, dry, and curl, and I'm going to book that with Debbie at 11 o'clock. Left click to block out the time, right click to choose what type of customer it is, and the appointment is booked. That's single tiered booking. Did that answer your question, Maria? Absolutely. Again, the only difference between single-tiered booking, two-tiered booking, and three-tiered booking is with two-tiered booking, it asks you to book not only the staff member, but also the room. And with three-tiered booking, it's asking you to book the staff member, the room, and equipment. Okay? If you're wondering how that happens, how it knows, when you set up your services, so for instance, I'll go with my massage here, and I've got something like my physical therapy 60. I put in my price, I put in my time, but I also choose any rooms. Any rooms that are checked, that service can be provided in those rooms. And any equipment that might be required for that service must be checked as well. So like my hot stones, I've said can be done in the Elixir, Herbal, and Ruby rooms, and that they can be done with the black stones or the red stones. And that's how the system knows to ask for those options. Okay? All right, so moving on back here. We were just talking about rescheduling, and you saw how I did that by checking the reschedule box and then moving an appointment anywhere I'd like. Let's talk about unbooking now. What if Donna said, hey, you know what, I'm sorry, I can't come in today, and I don't know when I'm going to be able to come back. So that's different than, does Debbie have availability tomorrow or later today or next week or whatever it may be. This is somebody who is going to have to call you back to reschedule because they simply can't make it and don't know when they can. So I'm going to right-click on this appointment, and now I have the option to unbook or unbook all this day. So I've got a lot of options here, but down there at the bottom, unbook or unbook all this day. If I choose unbook, it will ask me, are you sure you want to unbook this appointment? If I say yes, this appointment will vanish off my screen, freeing that time up. If I say no, then it'll ignore what I just asked it to do, and the appointment is still there. Now, you saw where it said unbook and unbook all this day. A lot of people get afraid of this one, unbook all this day. They think that if I were to select that it will unbook all of these appointments, Anna's and Mai's and Teresa's and Maria's, not just Donna's. Well, of course that's not the case. Absolutely not. So what does unbook all this day mean? I am on Donna's appointment. So if I select unbook or unbook all this day, all it will do is unbook this appointment. But what if Donna had 3 appointments today, or 4, or even 5? Maybe she had booked herself a package with you, a day of beauty, and she was getting a facial and makeup and a massage and her nails done, something like that. Well, I could unbook each one of them individually by selecting unbook. Or I could go to any of them and select unbook all this day, and all of the appointments for Donna Fabiani for that day will be unbooked, but just the appointments for Donna. So you don't have to be afraid of that. Now, it does happen where somebody says, you know, I'm booked for 4 appointments, but I can't make that first appointment. I'm going to be a little bit late. So you might unbook just the first appointment, and they're going to make the other 3. And that's why you might use unbook even if they had multiple appointments that day. But again, unbook all this day will remove all of their appointments. So let's go ahead and do it. I'm going to choose unbook all this day. Are you sure you want to unbook all of the client's appointments for this day? Yes. Now, Donna only had 1, so it just unbooked that one, and that's fine. So unbook all this day will work for you, whether it's just unbooking one or multiple, but again, it's just for that one customer, okay? So that's how that works. Any questions so far on anything that we've been going over?
Looks pretty straightforward to me.
I think so, good. So what you're looking at, what we've done now is we've booked an appointment, we have rescheduled an appointment, and we have unbooked an appointment. Now what we want to learn is how to do a standing appointment. And what exactly is a standing appointment? So if you've got a customer that comes in every other Wednesday at 11 o'clock, and they've been doing so for years or for months, et cetera, that is a standing appointment. So how do we do something like that? Well, there's lots of different places to do it. For instance, I could go into my sales screen and go to book appointments and choose standing appointments. And my standing appointment window comes up. I'm going to cancel that and exit out of that. I could also go right up here from the main menu, choose appointments and go to standing appointments. And there's that same window. And of course, if I was in the appointment book, I could do the same thing, choose standing appointments, and there's that window again. So standing appointments, as long as you've got this window up, no matter where you've gotten it from, you can now book a standing appointment. So let's do it. First things first, we've got to choose a customer. So I'm going to click on my little question mark here, and that allows me to choose a customer from my database. So for instance, we'll choose Penny Rabinkoff here. And now, who does she want to see? I'm going to say she would like to see Debbie. What service does she want Debbie to give her? I'm going to say that she would like to get a back facial from Debbie. And because she asked for Debbie, that's a request. Just like when you're booking an appointment, you still have to choose the client type. So now that we've filled in this basic information, we get to come down here. My start date. What is going to be the first appointment in these standing appointments? Do we want to start with today? Or we can use our plus and minus signs here to go one day at a time. Plus, now it's tomorrow. Plus, now it's Friday. Plus, now it's Saturday. I can use my minus sign to go back. Now it's Friday again. Now it's Thursday. Now we're back on today. Then I can choose a particular time, like for instance, 12 noon. So I'm saying she would like to come in starting today at 12 noon, but how often? Every day? That means she's going to book an appointment today and tomorrow and Friday and Saturday and Monday, etc. Every other day, every third day, maybe once a week. So every Wednesday at 12 o'clock. Or every other week, every other Wednesday at 12 o'clock, starting with this Wednesday. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say every other Wednesday at 12 o'clock. And now I get to say how many appointments do I want to book. I can choose anything from 1 to 256. Now, no, this is every 2 weeks. There's 52 weeks in a year. So if I said 256 appointments and it was every 2 weeks, that would be 10 years worth of appointments that we're about to book for. I don't know if that's exactly what we want to do. Maybe I want to book something like a dozen appointments. So I've said I'm going to book Penny here with Debbie for a back facial every other Wednesday at 12 o'clock starting today. And I want it to be 12 appointments. What if Debbie already has some appointments booked in some of those times because you book into the future? That certainly can happen. So it's very important that we press this button that says show. And when we show, all of the appointments we're about to book will appear. Wednesday, May 17th at 12, Wednesday, May 31st at 12, Wednesday, June 14th at 12, etc. But what we are looking for is right here where it says status. If it all says okay, that means that this appointment is good to book. If there were X's here, that would mean there's something wrong. Maybe Debbie's off that day, or maybe Debbie already has booked an appointment that day during that time. We can make adjustments to an appointment. So I can click here and I can choose an alternate operator. So Debbie would not be on this list if she was not available that day, and I would have to choose somebody else. But Debbie is on the list because perhaps the reason there were X's there, which there aren't, but let's pretend, because Debbie already has an appointment booked that day at that time. But we're going to stick with Debbie and choose a different time. All of the times that she will have available will be listed here. Maybe there's only 1 or 2 times here, and 12 o'clock wouldn't be one of them. Of course, it's okay, which is why 12 o'clock is here. But let's say that we wanted to move this one to 2 o'clock. So now the one for Wednesday, June 14th is now at 2 o'clock instead of at 12 o'clock, and it's an alternate time. Now, if I wanted to, I could hit book. If I hit book, all 12 of these appointments will be instantly booked. In fact, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to hit book, and the appointments have been booked. So let's take a look, shall we? There's Penny Rabinkoff for a back facial with Debbie on May 17th of 2017. Let's go forward 2 weeks and see what we see. Now we're on May 31st, and look, there's Penny Rabinkoff for a back facial with Debbie. Let's go forward 4 weeks. Now we're at June 14th, but look, that one's at 2 o'clock with Debbie. So it worked just like we wanted it to. And she has 12 appointments booked into the future. Let's go back to our current date. So here we are again on Wednesday, May 17th, 2017. And we're going to go through that process again, but I want to show you something a little bit different this time. I'm going to go to standing appointments, choose a customer. We'll go with Mary Cadigan here. Choose our operator. We'll choose Debbie again. Choose a service. Let's go with the back facial again. She asked for Debbie. When would she like to come in? We'll say that we're going to start again with Wednesday. And we're going to do this one at, we'll say 2 o'clock. Oh, no, we've already got one booked there. So actually, you'll be able to see it. So let's do it. 2 o'clock. Frequency, every other week. And our number of visits, 12. Just like we did before. And I'm going to hit show. Now you'll see that at 2 o'clock on Wednesday, June 14th, there are X's because we've already booked a back facial with Penny Rabinkoff at that time. So I could click here, stay with Debbie, and choose a different time. Let's go with 12 o'clock. So we just basically swapped there. But we're good to go. Now, this is what I wanted to show you that's a little bit different. Yes, I booked 12 appointments for her, or I'm about to. But what if she's that type of customer that has been coming in every other week for the last 7 years, and she has every intention of coming in forever? Yeah, I could book 12 appointments for her, but maybe I want to book forever for her. But I really don't want to have 256 appointments on her appointment book and 10 years worth of appointments. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to check auto standing. Why? What auto standing will do is every time she uses one of these 12 appointments, it will add another appointment at the end so that she's always 12 appointments into the future. So you don't have to book 256 appointments for her or whatever, 25 appointments or 80 appointments. Instead, you simply choose the short number you want, auto standing, and basically what that means is that she is now going to be booked every 2 weeks forever. Every time you use one, it will add another one to the end. So she'll only ever have 12 appointments on file at that time, which is nice if she, if you wanted to look at your list of customers with appointments, you don't have to see hundreds of appointments. You can see her next dozens or so appointments. It's totally up to you whether or not you want to use auto standing, but that's how that works. Any questions on that before we continue?
No.
All right. Moving on then. I'm not going to go ahead and book those because you already saw how I did it for Penny here. Okay, so we have booked a standard appointment. Go right ahead.
The frequency of the appointments. I didn't see the drop down, but can you do every 6? Can you customize that to like every 6 weeks or every 4 weeks or frequency?
Well, let's take a look. Yeah, let's take a look at our frequency. What we've got is every day. So you can book 5 appointments, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, etc. Every other day, every third day, every fourth, each week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, 7 weeks, and 8 weeks.
Perfect.
So those are your options. Okay. Absolutely. Okay. So again, just to briefly go over it, we've talked about booking a standard appointment, rescheduling a standard appointment, unbooking a standard appointment, and booking standing appointments with and without auto standing. Now, for all intents and purposes, for the purposes of this class, we are done with the appointment book. If you have any other questions regarding the appointment book, I'm happy to answer them for you now, or we're about to jump into the point of sale screen. So are we ready to go into point of sale? All right, let's go into the point of sale.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so there's 2 different ways to get to the point of sale. One way is from the main menu, simply clicking on the sales button, and that'll open our point of sale register. And we can pull up customers 4 different ways. We can click clients, And this will allow us to choose a client that's currently in our database. Or we could hit new and add somebody brand new right from the point of sale. Or we could hit one time, and one time means you're going to process a sale, but you don't care who the customer is. Maybe this is a minor, a 15-year-old that came in to buy some shampoo. And you're like, sure, I'll sell it to you, but I'm not going to market to this person. So I don't care who they actually are. For whatever reason, that's one time. Those are 3 different ways to pull up a customer. But you also have the 4th way. Every appointment that you have on the appointment book today is going to be listed here. And they're going to be listed either in alphabetical order or in order of checkout. Now, I've got mine in order of checkout. You can see they're not alphabetized. But it's going to be, one way or another, it's going to be very easy to find the customer. If it's alphabetical order, you can find them by their name. If it's in order of checkout, they should be at or near the top when they come to check out, because that's the whole point of order of checkout. And so if I click on Maria here, it'll fill my ticket in for me. Maria saw Maureen, got a head 90 for $100. I'm going to clear that. I told you there was another way to get into the sales screen. If I'm in the appointment book, I can right-click on any appointment like Ann Sabella and select Check Out. And it will open my point of sale register with Miss Sabella's ticket already filled in for me. So I can do it from the appointment book, and it'll automatically open my point of sale register. Let's clear that and start from scratch again. I'm going to go to sales. I'm going to choose Maria DeNicola. She saw Maureen for a head 90, $100. Now I can go to payment, and I can accept payment in multiple forms: cash, check, credit card, gift certificate or gift card, series, on account, charge to a room if you're part of a hotel or resort or inn, traveler's checks, your own custom methods of payment, and finally the points program. So I'm going to go over each one of those, but before I do, I want you to understand that this is not necessarily the whole ticket. Maybe this is the only service she got, but maybe it's not. While she was there, she was upsold. So even though this was the only thing we had booked for her on the appointment book, I can still add to her ticket. By clicking on service, I can say while she was here, she also saw Matthew, and she got a cut and color. So now I've got a head 90 and a cut and color. And now she owes me $250. And perhaps she'd like to buy some product. If my inventory is already in, I can look up product by SKU number, by UPC number. I can scan it with a barcode scanner. I could look it up by name. So let's say that I wanted to find a product, my Justin All-in-One shampoo. If I know the SKU number, I can just type it in right into this field here and hit enter. It will ask me who's getting the commission on this. I'll say Kayla. So Maria was sold by Kayla the Justin All-in-One shampoo. What if I don't know the SKU number, or if I'm not using a barcode scanner? Let me remove that item. I can press this button that says retail. And again, I can put in the SKU number, but wait, I just said I don't know the SKU number. So I'm going to press the search button, and I can type in any search string I want. The longer the short string is search string, the shorter the list is going to be. But I'm going to hit champ, and every one of my shampoos or anything that has the word champ in it is going to come up. And so I can, there's my Justin All-in-One shampoo. That's what I want, and accept. Now I can choose who's making the sale. I'll stick with Kayla, and I can hit last or more and pull up another product. So whether you're using a barcode scanner, or you know your SKU numbers, or you need to look it up by name, you can certainly do that. If the product is in your system, you're going to be able to find it. So now I've got a more complete ticket. I've got 2 services and a product. Maybe I'm ready to go to payment. Perhaps not. Ms. DeNicola would like to give a gratuity. So I'm going to hit gratuity. I can put in a dollar amount for Matthew and hit accept, and then go back to gratuity and put in a dollar amount for Maureen and press accept. Or I could apply a percentage and have it distributed. So maybe I'll go with 15% here and accept. It'll do the math for me. Maureen is going to get $15 and Matthew's going to get $22.50. Perhaps now I'm ready to process my ticket. I go to payment and cash. I can accept a total dollar amount in cash. Maybe she gives me $300 bills and a 20, so I put in 320 and it'll make my change. And when I process the transaction, if you're using an automated drawer, it'll pop your drawer open so that you can give them their change. If it's a personal check, I can put in the personal check number here so that in their history, it will show me exactly how they paid and with what check number. If I'm processing with a credit card, if I'm processing directly through the software, it's going to look something like this. And I'm going to be able to hit credit, or perhaps there might be a debit button here. I can hit debit, and then I can stick the card into the card reader, and I'll get my authorization right here, and the receipt will print out. Or I can go with the gift. Go right ahead.
Could you go to that paragraph one more time about the card? Just back up to when you. I need help with that.
Okay. Are we talking about processing a credit card? Or are we talking?
Yes.
Okay. So processing a credit card. I've clicked on my credit card button here, and that brings up this window, which obviously you can see is different than cash or check. I click here. It looks like this. Now,
okay.
If you are processing credit cards directly through the software, in other words, you're using our preferred provider, then it's going to look something like this. And when you click here, you're going to stick that card into the chip reader. Now, if you are not processing with our preferred provider directly through the software, it's going to look something like this instead. And you're simply going to choose what type of card they gave you, and then you can take their card and swipe it on your separate terminal, or put it the chip reader into the separate terminal that's outside of the software. So you're going to get your authorization on that. But this is still going to keep track of the fact that it was a credit card payment, so that your reporting is accurate. So even though you're not actually processing through the software, you're still keeping track of the fact that it was a credit card charge. So even though you're processing outside of the software, you would not say it is cash or a check. You're still saying it's a credit card, you're choosing the credit card type, and then you're doing your authorization outside of the software. Again, if you are processing through the software, it'll look like this instead. And the credit card machine will be physically connected to your credit card, to your computer. Okay?
Okay, so if I'm not using the credit card processing that you prefer, and I'm using another one, and I just put in the MasterCard or whatever it is, the amount tendered is put in there through Super Salon either by adding it or populating it one way or the other. And then I run the credit card transaction, but it does keep track of how much we took in.
That's right. So for instance, they're not going to be communicating with each other, so you're going to have to put that amount in. If they're going to be paying you $310.44, like this case, because she's got her gratuities already in there, so she's going to pay you $310.44, and you're going to put that $310.44 into the separate machine outside of the software. And maybe she gave you a Visa to do it with, so you say, Visa, but you're still keeping the same amount, whatever the amount is. You can rewrite it here. You can change it. The same amount that you are putting on that separate machine is what you're putting in here, so that you have a record of it.
Okay.
Now, what if they need to pay in multiple forms? She has a $100 bill, and she says, I hate $100 bills. They're hard to pay with, at places like McDonald's. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the $100 bill, and I'm only going to pay you $210.44 on a credit card. Well, then she would pay us $100 in cash, and I accept that. Now she only owes me $210.44, and so maybe she wants to put $50 on a check. So I'm going to say $50 on check number 456 and accept that. Now she owes me $160.44, and that she's going to put on her credit card. And you're not processing to our preferred provider, so it's going to look like this. You choose what type of card she gave you and accept. So now the ticket is full. She's paid all $310.44. So I can accept that now. And if I were to go back into her history, which I don't need to do, but if I was to do so, I could go into her history. And I can see that on May 17th, she saw Matthew and got a head 90. Maureen and got a head 90 and saw Matthew and got a cut and color. And Kayla sold her the Justin All-in-One shampoo. I could also highlight any one of those and view the whole transaction. So now I can see Maureen did the head 90, Matthew did the cut and color, Maureen got a gratuity of $15, Matthew got a gratuity of $22.50, Kayla sold a Justin All-in-One shampoo for $21, sales tax of 9.25% resulted in $1.94 for the shampoo only, not for the services. She paid with cash, $100, check number 456 for $50, and MasterCard for $160.44. So all of the history is there for you, whether she pays with one method of payment or multiple methods of payment.
Okay, we had that conversation about the preprint yesterday, and I had a question on that regarding pre-printing the receipt. Does it have to be an 8x11, or is there a smaller terminal that we can be something, so we're not?
Yeah, absolutely. You certainly don't have to go with an 8.5 by 11. You can, but if you would like to get a receipt printer, then yeah, absolutely. That's what you want to do. And so I'm going to just go ahead here to my hardware, and this is what the kinds of things that we offer. And you don't have to get them from us. Excuse me. Microsoft Office, the pin pad with the EMV chip reader, the MagTech swiper for gift cards, electronic cash drawer, barcode scanners, and a receipt printer. And so you can get thermal receipt printers, which are silent, or you can get the, okay, well then you can absolutely have that linked to your computer. And in your software, if I go to Setup, Printer Assignments, I get to choose what printer I'm going to use. So my Epson thermal receipt printer, perhaps, I'm just making it up, will be listed here, and I can then choose it as the as the printer that I want to print out receipts to. And I could choose then my report printer for my reports or my gift certificates or whatever else I'm doing. So let's go down here.
I get the point. I got
it.
Now, let me ask you a question. I see that there's 3 people in attendance. Is that you, me, and my husband?
It is, yes.
Okay. All right. So I just want to make sure, so if I ask a particular question.
Yeah, we had several other people that had signed up for the class, but they never showed. So I've got Angelo in the class and Maria in the class.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, my pleasure. Yeah, and yeah, feel free to interrupt me with questions. Absolutely. This is your class. So, and if there were other people in the class, they'd be interrupting with questions of their own. So don't you worry about it. Okay, so moving on, let's go back to our sales here.
I have a question.
So go right ahead.
I charge a percentage for anyone who uses a credit card. Is there a place to just put this percentage in? If the credit card happens, the percentage happens. So I don't have to constantly figure out how much. We choose to charge 2 or 4%, and is there a place where I can put 2% in there, where when the credit card charge happens, then there's a 2% already added to it, just like if you were to go to a restaurant and they pre-charge you for the tip if you have a large party?
You know what? Let me place you on hold for just one moment, and I'm going to ask that question. I don't believe so, but I don't want to give you wrong information. Hang on.
No worries. Hey, Ange.
Yeah.
Are you picking up on them pretty good?
Yeah, I'm trying to follow along as best I can.
Okay.
How about you?
Well, I've done this for a while, but I'm learning a lot more stuff, so I'm happy.
Do you have all the services? Are you 3-tier, 2-tier, or 1-tier, or it matters on the service?
Okay.
I don't think that there's.
I can tell you that right now. We do have something called a service charge, which.
Okay, are you talking to us?
Yes, I am. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. We do have something called a service charge, which will automatically apply an additional fee to a particular service, but it doesn't matter how they're paying. So no, it's not what you're asking. So no, we do not have that in the system. I do want you to be aware, though. When I asked the question, most states do not allow an additional charge for credit card. Now,
you are allowed
like
to have a cash discount. You have a cash discount, so yeah.
Yeah, at a what do you call it? Spit it out. At a restaurant, and they're saying, hey, we're going to charge you an additional tip, a gratuity. That's different than a credit card charge because it doesn't matter how you're paying. You could be paying that additional gratuity with cash, or with check, or however the restaurant accepts their money. But if simply saying, because you're using a credit card, we're going to charge you more, that's not permitted. No.
I understand that, but I only said that to you in that respect, how I tell my clients, how I say.
I understand. I just want you to know the reason why our development team has probably not put that in.
I get it.
I was just informed that. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I knew that.
Okay. All right. So unless you have any other questions, we'll continue here. So I'm going to go back to payment. We've talked about cash, check, and credit card. Now, gift certificate or gift card. You cannot accept a gift certificate or gift card unless that gift certificate or gift card was sold through the software. Now, the really nice thing about the Pro Solutions gift certificate or gift card system is there is no third-party authorization. And what that means is that you don't have like a credit card company or anybody else for that matter charging you per swipe fees or authorization fees. But you still have to sell it through the software. So, for instance, let me clear this, and let's pull up a customer. In fact, we'll pull up Miss DeNicola again. And she would like to buy a gift certificate or gift card. So I click on this. If I had her information, it would all be filled in here. Maybe she'd like to buy it for herself, or maybe she'd like to buy it for somebody else. But I'm going to say she's just buying it for herself. And I can click this, and it would transfer all of this information over here. Then I could put in a dollar amount, $100. And I can put in an expiration date. And I could just type it in if I'd like, or I could use that calendar. But I'm going to say 01/01 of 20, tab, that'll format it for me. And then I could choose who sold it. Maybe Kathy sold it, or not. I don't have to choose these things. I could even have chosen how they heard about us, whether or not I'm going to mail this or not. And then finally, the gift certificate number will be here. Let me write that down. It's a little bit lengthy.
If I do choose Kathy or whoever in the source, sales source, does that help me with reporting, say Kathy sold X amount of gift cards this month, and I could say, hey, if my team, whoever sells the most amount of gift cards, you get X, Y, Z at the end of the month.
Absolutely.
So if I do put it in there, the more fields put in there, the more reporting I could do.
Absolutely, yes. You've got it. That's the way that works. So I'm going to go ahead and accept that. The client's name is already in file. Would you like to view it? No. Okay, so Maria DeNicola is in the system. $100 payment. And I'm going to, she's going to give me cash. I'll say, done. She now owns a gift card or gift certificate. So when she comes back in and she sees Christian and she gets her, whatever that is, it's $100, and I go to payment. I can now accept gift card or gift certificate. If it's a gift card, I can now swipe the card, and it will put in the number for me. If it's a gift certificate, I type the number in, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 4, and enter. There it is. She's got $100 on it. So I can go ahead and accept that. So let's go back and take a look at
I have a
history.
question. So basically,
Go right ahead.
when we cash out at the end of the day, we'll be $100 over. Is that right?
No. Why would you be $100 over?
Well, but I'm buying the gift card, but then I'm not using it. I'm using it another day.
Right, but you're not over, because as far as the drawer is concerned, it knows that you brought $100 in. You're certainly $100 more than you were before, but it's going to tell you what it believes you should have in the drawer, and then it's going to have your over and short. And because it knows that you sold a gift certificate or gift card for $100, and you brought that $100 in, it has said this $100 is now part of your drawer. That's not an overage. That's just an additional $100 that's in your drawer, more than you had started with. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. In fact, and we're going to go through the closing in just a little bit after we go through these different methods of payment. So let's go back to Ann here, go back to our payments. So we talked about gift certificates and gift cards now. The next we're going to talk about is series. What is a series and how is it used? Now, she owns no series. Let's pull somebody up who does own a series. And I think I have series for Miss Babcock because I use her for everything. So I'm going to choose Miss Babcock here, and I'm going to say she saw Debbie, and she got a back facial. She owes me $61.75. She got an automatic 5% off. Why? I'm not really going to talk about this in this class, but I just want you to see that she happens to be a gold member. And as a gold member, she gets 5% discounts. So now I'm just going to go to payment and series. Does she own any series? She does. She has a full facial series, and she has 2 out of 5 remaining, and it expires July 1st of 2016. So I might say, hey, it's already expired, you can't use them, or I can allow it. I can accept it. It's totally up to you. Okay, so the expiration date for the series has expired. Do you want to use it anyway? And there it is. Yes or no. I'm going to say no, and I'm going to cancel out of that. So what is exactly a series, and how does it work? A package and a series are two very different things in our software, and people confuse them, which is why I'm bringing the package up. A package would be when you sell multiple different services, and they're all going to be used on the same day, like a day of beauty package. You sell a facial and a acrylic fills and makeup and a massage and hair blowout, let's just say. And that's your day of beauty. It even includes lunch. Okay, great. That would be what we call a package, and somebody's going to use all of those services in one day. That's different than a series. A series is when you've got Michelle here, and she comes in every other Wednesday for her Swedish massage. And you say, you know what? You've been coming here for years, and you pay $75 for a Swedish massage every 2 weeks. So if you buy 10 of them, you'd spend $750. So I'm going to sell you a series of 10. I'm just making this up, and I'm using the word 10. I mean the number 10 because it's easy math in my head. I'm going to sell you 10 of them for $850 instead of, excuse me, $850, for $600 instead of $750. You're basically getting 2 for free. But what you're doing is paying $600 up front, and you're buying 10 Swedish massages. Okay, so you can sell a series, and you can create those series in another part of the software. And so, for instance, I've got my acrylic 5 here. This is going to give me 5 acrylic fills. And I've said it only costs $100. Well, they're $45 each. So this would actually be a massive savings. At $45 each, that would be $225 would be your actual cost for 5 of them, but I'm selling her all 5 of them for only $100. So that's what a series is. And if they own a series, then it will be listed here, and you can choose it, and it will zero out what they actually owe you. Yes, this time I want to use it. So that's how that works. So that's a series. We'll clear that. Okay, well, actually not going to clear that because we're going to go back and talk about the next thing. The next one is on account. Now, a lot of places don't use on account the way I'm about to describe it, but there's another way to use it, and that's the way most people do. So first we're going to talk about the way that most people don't, because you should know about it. And that is Miss Babcock is Maria's sister-in-law or her best friend or whatever it may be. They're close. Or she simply trusts her for whatever reason. Michelle walks up to that front desk and she owes $61.75. She's got no cash on her, no checkbook on her, and when she opens her wallet, she realizes she left her credit card at home because she was online shopping last night. Maybe she was even on your website buying a gift certificate. But she walks up to there, opens up her wallet and says, oh my God, Maria, I left my credit card at home. And Maria says, don't worry, come back later and pay me. Or pay me next week when you come back in. Then I can put this on account. On account means if I'm doing it this way, that Miss Babcock is going to owe me $61.75. And the next time she comes in and I pull her up, it will show up here in red exactly what she owes me. That's one way to do it. And I can run a report at any time showing me everybody that owes me, an on-account aging report. So I can see everybody that's owed me for 30 days or 60 days or 90 days, etc.
So will that $61.75 populate in her charges when we come to that point?
Let's
go
ahead and do it. Let me show you how it's done. So I allowed her to pay me, quote unquote, on account. Okay, so the next time she comes in, now it says on account balance equals $61.75. Right there in red, it shows you what she owes you. Now, when the next time she gets something, like she saw Leslie here and she got a cap highlights, she owes me $85.50 now. That's not going to include that $61.75. When I go to payment, it's simply $85.50. You're allowing her to hold that balance. However, if she were to come in and say, I want to pay that off, then I go to register and I go to on account. And now I can go to on account payments. I can choose my customer and I can put in the amount that she's paying me. And I'm going to say she's going to give me $60, which is not the exact amount. And she's going to pay by cash, check, or credit card. I'm going to say she gives me cash, $60. I can make a receipt for this as well. The next time Miss Babcock comes in, it now shows me she owes me $1.75. So she paid it down some, but not completely.
Okay, so from this screen here, though, say for instance, if from the original screen where it was where she came in for the $85 service, and we want to pay it off with that charge, with the charge that she's paying that day, how do you do it?
Okay, you're not going to pay that off in this method of payment, because if you were to go to on account, it would reduce it further negative. You have to pay down an on account balance. You have to go to register and go to on account, and then go to on account payments.
I see. So it has to be a separate transaction. It can't be a double transaction.
That's right.
It can't be a.
That's right. Don't get me wrong.
All
she
right.
could overpay by $61.75, or by, in this case, $1.75. She could overpay by that amount, but that's just going to say it owes her change. Now, you could take that change out of your drawer and then go to the register and go to on-account payments and stick it back in the drawer and make a record of it. You could do that, but you still have to go through that process.
Okay, no worries. I just want to make sure I have to go through the process. It's not like a
That's
drop
right.
down where I can just add it to it. Okay,
And
sounds
at
cool.
any
I can do
time,
that.
even if you're not in the point of sale, you can go into a client file and you can go to their on account, and it will show you everything that they have and what they owe you as well, and all of the.
Show me how to get
they've
back there
made,
again.
et cetera. Sure.
So do
First,
that one more time.
I got into the client file, and I did that. You can get into the client file from a lot of different places, but from the main menu, you simply click on clients, pull up the client you want, and it'll pull up their client file. Now, in their client file, one of my options is on account. And if I click there, it will show me what their balance is and all of their on account history with me, including any payments, etc.
Okay, got it.
All right, we'll exit out of that. All right, so that's on account. Let's pull up Ann again. Let's go back to payments. Oh, you know what? I forgot to show you the most common way that people use on account, and that is for deposits. So you've got a wedding party that's coming in, for instance, and so somebody would like to make a deposit. So I'm going to go to register, on account, and I'm going to go to on account payments. Well, this person, whoever I'm going to pull up, doesn't owe me any money. In fact, I'm going to pull up Miss DeNicola again because I know that she doesn't owe me any money. And I'm going to say that she's giving me $500. And she paid for it with a check. Check number 654 and accept. So she gave me a check for $500, and I have just now created a transaction for that. When she comes in perhaps with her party or not, as you can see, she now has an on-account credit. The other one was in red and it said on-account debit. This one says on-account credit $500. So I owe her $500 because she prepaid.
Okay.
So she sees Matthew. She gets a color one step for women. She owes me $130. She goes to payment. I can now go to on account, $130. So normally this would go negative. Well, it is kind of going negative, but it's going negative against what I already owe her. So
I understand.
$500, 130 is what she owed. The next time she comes in, she now has a $370 credit because she used 130 of it. So that's how you can do that with a deposit. Okay, clear that.
Thank you. What is the red mail signal? Is that to say that I?
Oh,
right,
yeah, that
like
just means I don't have your email address.
Okay, cool.
That's all that is. And if I go into your client info, I could do something like this and say maria@fakeemail.com and save. All right, let's clear that. The next time we pull up Miss DeNicola, it's not there anymore.
Okay, got it.
All right. Okay, so moving on again, we'll go to Ann, we'll go to payment. And now we're going to talk about the next one here. You're not part of a hotel or resort or inn, correct?
No.
Then we're going to skip that. Traveler's checks is exactly the same as personal checks. The only difference is in your closing report, it'll separate them so that you can see what you brought in personal checks, what you did in traveler's checks. But as far as their usage, they're identical. You simply put in the check number here and process your payment.
Before we go further, just
go ahead.
so you know, I have a lot of out-of-town clients that I pay for their hotel, but I'm not a part of a hotel. Does that make a difference?
Yeah, you're not going to charge to their room because with this system, you're able to actually charge to their room and it will show up on the hotel's folio. And then they
Okay.
pay for the spa services or whatever it is. They pay for those when they pay the hotel at the
Okay.
end of their trip. Well, you wouldn't want that because you're not part of the hotel.
No worries. Okay, I just want to make sure I told you that
Sure.
little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's, by the way, that's an awesome idea. I really think that's great, and especially if you've got a really nice spa that's near some nice hotels, that can make it more of a destination spa. That's a great idea. Okay, so here's my traveler's check. Put in the check number, just like personal check. Next is other. Other allows you to create your own methods of payment. There is under setup, there's a way for you to create whatever types of payments you want. Maybe you accept DBX. Maybe you do trade. Trade is probably the most common, and that's why I created one called barter. Your electrician came in and did your wiring, and you said, you know what, I'm going to give you a free $50 service instead of paying you. Maybe she said, okay, you owe me $40, and you said, I'm going to give you a free whatever, and she says, great. So this is barter or trade. You can create your own, whatever it is. I just created barter just so that you could see something being used. So in this case, your drawer is once again not going to be off because it's not saying you brought in cash or check or credit card or gift certificate. It's saying that you actually did trade for $50 of value. And then finally, we have our rewards points. Very briefly, because you learn all about rewards points in the advanced class, but just very briefly, I just want to explain, it's like airline miles. You can assign points to services and or products and even referrals, so your customers can earn points for doing business with you. They can then turn around and use those points to get discounts or freebies in your software. Those are the different methods of payment. So now, unless you have any questions on the point of sale, and yes, there's a lot in the point of sale we didn't discuss. We didn't talk about refunds. We didn't talk about selling memberships. We didn't talk about transaction notes. Things like that you learn in the advanced class. But for our purposes here, we're done with the point of sale. Unless you had any specific questions, we're about to go into commissions.
No, we're fine.
All right. So let's talk about commissions. There are 3 different specific commission types in the software. And you can run all 3 of them simultaneously on your staff. But depending on what report you run, that's what's going to give you the information that you seek. 3 different types. One is sliding scale. You're going to give them 1% for, let's say, $0 to $500 of services. Another percentage for $501 to $1,000. Another percentage for $1,001 to $1,500, etc. And you can have 6 different scales for service sales for any date range. Then you can go and do the same thing with retail sales. And you can say, I'm going to give you 10% for your first $100 of retail sales and 12% for your next $500 of retail sales, whatever you want. That's sliding scale. Your next type is straight percentages. I'm going to give you 45% if you sell this service. I'm going to give you 50% if you sell this service, etc. And then there is dollar amount. I'm going to give you $50 if you perform this service. I'm going to give you $4 if you sell this service, whatever it is. It's an actual dollar amount rather than a percentage. And why would you ever do that? Let's say you've got a $100 service and you're giving Sally 50%. Well, she gets $50 then. Great. Let's say you put her on a dollar amount of $50. Same thing. But what if you raise your prices? Well, if she's on a percentage, she just got an automatic raise. But if she's on a dollar amount, she's still getting $50 for the same service that she had agreed that was acceptable on, okay? So a lot of consultants are telling people to move to the dollar amount, but the truth is that most are still on percentage because it's just easier for them to do. So let's see that. We're going to go to payroll, and I'm going to go to employees, and I'm going to go to my commission schedules, sliding commission, add, modify tables. So now I can choose one of my employees, like Mariana here, or let's go with somebody I already set up. We'll go with Christopher. And I'm going to say that from $0 to $1,499, he's going to get 50%. From $1,499 and a penny to $2,000, 55%. So how did I do that? Let's go to the end here. I said $2,500 to $6,000 with 65%. So I'm going to say 6,001 penny to 10,000 is 70%. And that's how it's done. So you can do up to 6 different scales, and you can do it for retail as well. And then when you're done there, we'll save that. You now have set up sliding scale commission for Christopher. Then I can go to employees. Again, go to my commission rates this time and go to service rates. And I can choose an operator like Christian. And I can say, for all services, he gets 50% and accept. Then every service is going to be 50%. I'll do that. So, okay, great. So no matter what service I go to, he gets 50%. But what if most of the services were 50%, but some of them weren't? Maybe the anti-curl with haircut's only 45% and accept. So that means that everything that I choose is going to be 50%, but if I choose the anti-curl with haircut, it's going to be 45. So I can set up his commissions that way as well. Then,
so you go to all you do it to all services and just go back and adjust the one you want to adjust.
if you want, yes. Or you could give every single service its own specific commission. That would take a long time, but yeah, you could absolutely do that.
Right, but to be able to shortcut it all services
Absolutely.
And then go back in and adjust.
Yes, and that's
Okay.
the way I like to do it because most people have a standard percentage that goes for most services. And then there's a handful that are different, and that's why it's just easier with the way I just showed you, absolutely. Okay, so that would be percentages, and you can do that also for your retail as well, same way you did it for services. And then finally, we have our dollar amount. This is where I get to choose someone like Christian and say when Christian does an anti-curl with blow dry, which is $150, he gets $75, not a percentage. If I raised the price of this, he'd still get $75 unless I went in here and changed it.
Could you back up a little bit to get into that screen right there?
Absolutely. First, I went to payroll.
Yeah,
Then I went to employees,
Mm-hmm.
and from employees, I went to commission rates. And
Got
I went to service dollar amounts. And that
Service
brings
dollar
up
amount,
this
okay.
window.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And so you get to set dollar amounts for specific services. All right. Then, once you have set up their commissions, now you can go into reports, go to sales, and go to my operator reports. Yours might say stylist reports or therapist reports or esthetician reports. Don't worry, it's going to say something like operator reports. And you're going to come down here to the bottom where it says commission reports. And here are all of your different commissions reports. Some of them are straight percentages. Some of them are sliding scale. Some of them are dollar amount. So based on what report you run, that's going to show you what you owe them in commission. But it's not necessarily the same for each report. A dollar amount report may be different than your sliding scale. In fact, I'm sure it would be, which may be different than your standard rate. So when you set up their commission, then that's the type of report you want to run. Don't try to run a straight commission report, a straight percentage report if you set them up on sliding scale. You're going to get zeros. Okay, so I just want you to be aware of that. But like I said, you can set up commissions on all three types and then run whichever one you want to see what you would have. Wow, if I set her up on percentages, she would have gotten this much. If I set her up on sliding scale, she would have gotten this much, etc. So you can check that out for yourself. And if you've set them up on something like sliding scale, and then you say, you know what, after 6 months, I'm going to move you over to straight percentage. And they say, oh, no, I like the sliding scale. Well, let me just show you. This is what your last 3 months looked like, sliding scale. This is what it would have looked like.
Can you show me, for instance, how it would look like and this look like? Can I see that?
Absolutely, yes. So let's go to sales here and let's do one.
And just so you know, I'm also doing the advanced class at 11:30. So in case this is advanced, I can wait.
No, we don't talk about commissions in the advanced class. So I'm going to say that she saw Christian and she got a back facial. I'm also going to say that Christian sold some product to her. I'm also going to say that she gave a tip to Christian of $25. Okay, and we'll accept that. We'll just do cash and accept. Okay, so let's take a look. I'm going to go to my reports, and I'm going to go to sales, operator reports, commission reports. And I go to my commission sales analysis, for instance. Don't have to, but this is one of the ones that's on straight percentages. I'll choose Christian and accept. I'll say view report, and I'll choose it for a specific date range. I could do it for a week, for a month, for a year, for 3 days, whatever. I put in my date range, whatever I want it to be, and accept. So what it's going to do now is going to give me this report. This is my Bella Renaissance Commission Sales Analysis, all registers for the period from May 17th, 2017 to May 17th of 2017 for operator Christian. He saw Maria DeNicola, gave her a Beauty Nueva facial. It was one quantity of one, an hour and a half was spent on it, cost $100. No discounts, so the total amount was $100. Commission was 50%, commission pay, $50. He also did a back facial for Michelle Babcock, $65. No discounts, commission 50%, $32.50 is his commission pay on that. Total for all services, $82.50. Product sold. To Michelle Babcock, he sold the Justin All-in-One shampoo for $21. Discount of $1.05. $19.95 is what was paid. 15% of that, $2.99. So total for products, $2.99. Total for products and services, $85.49. That's the $82.50 plus the $2.99. Tips received. Client tip, $25. Total for commission on products, services, and tips, $110.49. So that's one of many reports. And sales.
There was a comparison that you were going to show me.
Yeah, exactly. So you just saw that, and you can print that out. Now I'm going to say, well, what if he was doing sliding scale? I don't know. I don't even know if I have him set for sliding scale, but let's take a look. Let's go to sliding scale without back bar. And I'm going to say Christian and accept. And I'm going to say for today and view report and accept. So before he got $110.09 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, with his sliding scale commission, he's getting $83.50.
I see. So, okay. I see how it's valuable. I just don't know how to, which is not part of the program, but I can't in my head decide which one's better. I see how it's
Well,
done.
I can tell you that in my experience, sliding scale seems to work best to motivate slow employees. Standard percentages are usually what you want to go with good with self-motivated employees, I guess is the way to put it. You know they're going to bring in the business, and they want to know what kind of money they're making, and it's just a benefit for them, and they're a great employee, so you want to give them that benefit. Even if it's a different amount or the same amount, the fact that they know what it is immediately is very beneficial to them. Whereas sliding scale seems to motivate slower or less self-motivated employees because they know, boy, if I can just get that extra service in this pay period, I'm going to get a higher percentage, and therefore I'm going to make more money. And so they push for more sales that way. Totally up to you.
I understand. In my situation, I pay an hourly and a commission, and I'm trying to figure out whether or not I'm trying to do some comparisons.
Well, as I said, you can set up all three commission structures separately on the same employee, and then run those reports for the same time frame and take a look at them and see, wow, I'm paying a lot more on this way. Maybe that's not the way to go. Or maybe I'm simply giving too high a percentage or whatever it is. Maybe they are all equitable. And so that tells you something else. But I would suggest setting up commissions in more than one way so that you can view exactly what it is they're getting in those different ways and see what's best for you and your employee.
Okay, and then if I run into a problem setting this up, I can go online and
Oh, absolutely. You go to live chat and speak to a technician, or you could set up additional training with someone like me. Absolutely.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, we don't think, oh, you took the class, so now you got to know it. We don't do business like that. So
right, I
absolutely feel free.
I definitely want to be able to do each individual employee the 3 different ways, so I can keep on looking at those numbers each week and be able to.
All right.
Get some
well,
ideas.
I've got to prep for the next class, and this class is over.
Yes, thank you.
I want to ask you guys, would you like me to email you this class, the one that you
Yes.
just took? And I'm not talking about, a class like this one, your class. You'll even hear your voice on it. So, yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me go ahead and I've got Maria DeNicola at yahoo.com. Is that the one you'd like me to send it to?
Yes.
Just make sure I've got the spelling right.
Do you have my email address?
You want me to send it to you as well?
Please.
Okay, and let me just make sure what I do. I've got, Angelo DeNick at yahoo.com.
Correct.
And then I have a question while you're typing that away. Is there any user groups that other of your consumers chit chat and talk about their experiences? Because when you used to have the meetings at like the I think it was in Santa Barbara, maybe. I don't even know where I went over there, but Shutters on the Bay or whatever. Meeting other people that use the program was very helpful.
Absolutely. And let me just show you here. Pro Solutions Software on Facebook. We have hundreds of people who are following us on this, and you can type messages in on the page that other people can see, things like that. So,
awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, you can certainly, and also we have an Instagram and a Twitter, and feel free to follow there. And of course, if you're sharing our tweets or things like that, people who follow us as well would see that. And of course, people that follow you. So there's different ways to communicate with other people as well. And of course, these classes usually help that way as well, because you could have multiple people in one class and you're all hearing each other and you can speak to each other as well.
Thank you.
All right. My pleasure.
All right. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Have a great day. And I guess I'll be seeing you shortly, Maria. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.